Thank you so much. Hello everyone. Thank you for coming. We are Group 10, and our project is about program coherence in the RSC European Institute double degree programs. Next slide, please. And so our research look at, you start with a simple question like how coherent are the double degree programs in RSC? RSC European Institute runs 4 double master program with Bocconi, Fudan, Jonesboro, and Columbia. Students spend 1 year at RSC and one at a partner university and earning 2 degrees. So in theory, it's very exciting because this program promised the best of both worlds, but in practice, they can be messy. Students often deal with mismatched course and confusion, communication, and very heavy workload. So our research focused on the RC Bocconi and RC Fudan programs because our thought is that we will select not only because of the access but also allow comparison between European and non-European partnership. We used both primary and secondary data to understand what's working and what's not, and how the overall student experience can be improved. So next slide, please. Thank you. So what did we want to find out is that we start with forming research questions, and do students feel the program is coherent across 2 years, and then our expectation aligned with reality once students actually entered the program, and then what structural and cultural issues are helping or hurting the experience. And then lastly, what changes do students themselves suggest to make programs better? So these questions are important because these degrees aren't just academic portals, they shape student future and influence how global institutions collaborate. We grounded our work in several existing literature on transnational education. So there's one recurring theme is that the curriculum misalignment. There's scholar arguing that joint degrees suffer from overlapping rather than complementary content. And then that's not just inefficient, it also weaken the educational value that was expected. And there was also recommendation on design around not just duplication, but how those two programs complement each other. So it should be on each other, not repeat each other. And then that's the issue with teaching and assessment style. There's scholars showing how different academic culture like lecture heavy versus discussion based format can be confusing for students switching between systems. And finally, there's administration problem. And there was pointed out that logistical issues like credit transfer, grading scales in Canada often end up being the biggest headache for students because these are like sort of an infeasible problem that can seriously impact student well-being. And all of this help us decide our research approach and understand the data we collected. And I'm going to pass the floor to Nathan and talk about our method.
Thank you very much. If possible, could you switch the slide? Right. Talking of our project, what kind of research design did we employ to find our findings? We use primarily a mixed methods approach, combining first-hand data with institutional secondary data. With our primary research focus, we focused on the LSE Bocconi double degree in European and international public policy and the LSE Fudan double degree in the global political economy of China and Europe. Why did we select these then? I think it was already mentioned earlier in the presentation, but we selected these due to first, access. These programs had a lot more access to information than others, and second, contrast. Fudan Bugoni provides an ideal example of contrast between a European and non-European partner. And how then, using these examples, do we proceed with our research? What primary research did we use? In terms of primary research, we first used a survey to second year students from these two programs during the LSE year. We achieved a response rate of roughly 30% of the total 27 entrants. And we designed this survey to consist of Likert scale questions and open-ended responses about one, overall satisfaction, two, their learning opportunities, and three, the program content and structure of the double degree. To complement this wider primary research, we also conducted one semi-structured interview with the LSE Bocconi Double Degree Program Director. This was principally with a focus on the design, implementation, and outcomes of the double degree program, and we achieved some key institutional insights, for example, the evolving program structure, academic alignment, and communication. If possible, next slide. So what were our findings regarding course coherence and curriculum? Our results show that there were significant gaps and overlaps between curriculums. For example, the LSE Bocconi director highlighted students arriving at LSE found the quantitative courses offered at LSE to be a lot easier than what was offered at Bocconi because the Bocconi program courses were considerably more rigorous in training. Furthermore, while this was negotiated with, this is demonstrative of a need to, it is demonstrative of the fact that content overlap continues to be a problem, suggesting workload distribution issues, as indicated by student feedback. Next slide, please. So, what are the three administrative findings that we have? First of all, we found that there was a lack of transparent communication between the partner institutions and towards the students. In our survey, exactly 0% of respondents agreed that the statement of clear communication and support from both institutions was satisfactory, highlighting a very obvious gap in providings from these institutions. Secondly, the SSLC student representative minutes showed that there were furthermore information gaps that need to be resolved. For example, to highlight one pressing problem, students are not fully briefed on the partner school's grading criteria and timetable quirks, which obviously provokes a large degree of anxiety in the transition between the two schools, as you have to accustom yourself to an entirely different system without the adequate guidance, which can easily be provided by the administration. Thirdly, there is an excess of bureaucratic procedures and a lack of support services in the two systems. Students, for instance, had to navigate two sets of online portals, two library systems, and sometimes differing visa and housing logistics without a single point of contact. Without a lack of joined up administrative guidance, this was just another source of significant stress for these students, highlighting yet another need that we need to address as an institution. Next slide, please. I believe I am passing to Anna now.
Yes, so now I will turn to our findings on student experiences in the double degree format. So clearly, double degree, it immerses students into distinct environments, and therefore it is the double degree's both greatest benefit and its greatest challenge, as proved by our findings. Regarding the positive experiences, the program director observed that LSE Bocconi students benefit from the combination of two different styles, becoming more adept at both performance-driven study and critical thinking. Students themselves appreciated developing adaptability and the global outlook in our survey. However, the cultural integration aspect was not without difficulties. For example, one survey respondent admitted that sometimes they were feeling hard to fit into the Chinese culture during the year in Shanghai. So navigating language barriers, academic norms, for example, classroom participation styles, and social integration in a new country, it requires significant adjustment. And next slide, please. Additionally, we found that transition timing can be stressful. The most striking example is the requirement to produce two separate master's theses. Survey respondents likewise cited that having to write two dissertations and managing the coordination of the two was a major drawback of the format. Also, balancing two sets of academic commitments, often with overlapping deadlines, can negatively affect student well-being. Moreover, differences in grading standards and workload, for example, some partner schools might assign more continuous assessment versus final exams at LSE, made the second year adjustment more challenging. Also, from our secondary data review, one outcome reflected in the 2024 program survey data is that only 33% of LSE Sciences for double degree students felt that balance of study was appropriate, and it suggests some workload distribution issues. And now I will turn to recommendations. And next slide, please. Thank you. So in response to these insights, we recommend three targeted initiatives. Firstly, we propose that each partnership conduct annual or biannual curriculum mapping sessions. These meetings, we think, would identify overlapping topics, sequence progression better, and ensure that first year courses fit into the second year ones. Secondly, to help students navigate dual systems and enhance communication transparency, we recommend developing a single shared platform. It can be either a microsite or consolidated document for each program. And we think that it would be great that this platform would outline all the key dates, course structures, grading policies, and contact points. Additionally, we think that to target enhanced communication transparency, it would be great to assign a dedicated liaison at each institute to handle student concerns, and we think that it would improve responsiveness and cohesion. And finally, we suggest to consider allowing a jointly supervised thesis that satisfies both institutions' requirements, coupled with a just scheduling, for example, breaks between academic years or flexible start dates. This approach would provide students with recovery periods to avoid burnout. And also, a periodic surveys on workload fairness should inform future program adjustments. And now I will pass.
Yeah, thank you. So to wrap up, what do we learn and why does it matter is that this program, of course, offer great opportunities. But one major concern is that as we discuss the double dissertation and how the navigation between two countries. So we think this problem and experience can be improved through annual joint curriculum reviews, and there's the need in better communication and transparency and a flexible workload structure. So yes, of course, it's great, but it needs improvement, and we look forward to discuss it with Charlotte in the dialogue meetings. And thank you for listening.